Episode 9. The Sweet Taste of Revenge. The area they were in was a clearing in the forest surrounded by trees. Moby decided to test out his inspect skill on Eric before the fight started. Name: Eric Quinn. Race: human. Ability: Level 1 Wind. Power level: 950. HP: 100/100. Mana: 27/27. Strength: 32. Agility: 22. Endurance: 14. Intelligence: 27. Mind: 0. Moby was surprised at the amount of information the inspect skill provided him. It not only provided him with what ability his opponent has and what level it is, it also provided him with all their stats. Moby made a few observations while examining the information that was provided with him. The first was that he used mana instead of demon energy. This must be their energy pool for using their ability. Second, each ability has a level next to it which corresponds to how much the skill is developed. Third, and last, is that he has 0 points in mind. Mind is a statistic that corresponds to mental powers such as mind control. It is a given that he doesn't possess any points in mind, Avelia said. Then how do I have 10 points in mind? Moby asked inwardly. Every demon has at least 10 points in mind. Since you are inheriting my powers, it is only natural that you would possess some points in mind, Avelia replied. I guess that makes sense, Moby replied. Suddenly his train of thought was interrupted. Are you ready, buddy? We will start the fight in 5 seconds if that's okay with you, Eric said while still laughing. Of course I'm ready. I'm going to have so much fun. Moby replied as he regained his previous excitement. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Moby decided to hide his power in order to wait for his opponent to let his guard down. Eric created 2 wind blades, one on each arm, and threw them towards Moby. Moby managed to clumsily dodge both blades, leaving shallow wounds on his body. -7 HP, 93/100. Eric continued his onslaught of wind blades towards Moby. -3 HP, -6 HP, -9 HP, ads by PubFuture. HP, 75/100. Although Moby can see his HP go down on every attack like he's in a game, the pain was still real. Moby dodged each attack in a way that made him seem like he got hit and heavily injured. This is only a tactic to fool his opponent into thinking that he is fatally injured and rush him carelessly. In fact, Moby was precisely dodging each blade in a way that made it look like he took full impact and made his shallow wounds look deep. Moby started heavily panting while clutching his heart in pain. Of course, this was just the bait for his opponent to come to fight him up close. In a ranged fight, Moby would stand no chance of winning as he does not have any ranged attacks. Also, he wasn't fast enough to close the distance while dodging all the wind blades coming at him. So getting Eric to rush him is his only chance to ensure his victory. Eric's POV, Eric started laughing inwardly. He is truly as weak as before. I'll take it slow and have fun with him. Instead of staying far away, where he has the biggest advantage, he decided to go up close and personal since it looks like his opponent is out of breath and severely injured. Eric created a wind sword and rushed at Moby while smirking ominously. Moby went on one knee and pretended to cough blood. Eric finally reached Moby. He lifted his sword and slashed down onto the clearly hurt and tired Moby at immense speed. This will be your punishment for making me wait. Eric screamed like a lunatic. Before Eric's wind sword reached his head, Moby suddenly disappeared. Then he felt an immense pain strike him in the back of the head. His vision went dark and he lost control of his body as he hit the ground hard with a powerful thud. Eric was completely unconscious. Moby's POV. As soon as he saw the wind sword coming down on him, he immediately activated his demon flash to quickly go behind him. Then, in one smooth motion, he used his demon slash with his sword still in its scabbard to attack the back of his head, knocking him out instantly. This all happened in an instant, which left Eric with no chance to react. It was the last thing he ever expected to happen. As soon as Moby saw Eric's unconscious body, he couldn't help but laugh like a madman. He felt happier than he could ever remember being in his whole life. However, he felt even happier when he thought of all the cruel ways he can torture him. Moby quickly ran and got the rope out of his bag. Then, he firmly tied it around Eric's still unconscious body. The time was already 6 o'clock, so he still had 5 hours and 30 minutes to torture him. Moby felt impatient and started slapping Eric's face, trying to wake him up. He is trying not to seriously injure his body until he is awake. This is because he wants him to be awake for all the pain he will inflict on him. After 5 minutes of slapping, he was still not waking up. So, Moby gave up on that idea. Then, he remembered something obvious. The river. He can drown him a bit in the river to wake him up. Moby started to beat himself up for his stupidity for not realizing that sooner. Moby dragged Eric's body by the hair to the river. He grabbed his head and shoved it into the water. It didn't even take 10 seconds before Eric's body started squirming in the water. Moby instantly grabbed his head out of the water and threw it on the ground. Eric let out a loud scream as he started to cough a huge amount of water. "You fucker, what the hell did you do to me?" Eric roared in anger as he tried to break out of the rope. "Save your breath, you won't be able to break out of the rope. It is a high-quality military-grade rope, so it won't break that easily. And with your hands tied, you have no way of activating your ability," Moby said as he punched him in the face. "Hey, Moby old buddy, why are you doing this?" "I thought we were friends," Eric said nervously. "Friends my ass. Every day you would beat me up senseless until I could barely walk. You extorted me out of most of my money under a fake premise of your sister being in the hospital. You exploited my stupidity and weak strength to mess with me and push your own agenda," Moby said as he continuously kicked him in the stomach. Eric let out multiple cries and threw up liters on the ground. "How can weak, stupid trash like you do this to me? I was sure that your power level was way lower than me. This should have never happened. You were supposed to be my slave and punching bag for all eternity." Eric roared in disbelief. "Are you sure about that? Why don't you look again?" Moby said while smiling. Eric took another look at Moby's watch. /U003C890/U003E. Eric was staring at the number on the watch in disbelief. There is no way that someone can hide their power levels. He was sure that Moby's power level was a measly 800 just a few hours ago. "Tell me how, you bastard. What kind of prank is this? No one can hide their power level. It's impossible." Eric screamed, going crazy. "Seems like it's not as impossible as you think then," Moby said, failing to hold back his laughter. At this moment Eric completely gave up hope. His only hope now is to grovel and beg for forgiveness. Please spare me. I promise to never bother you again. Even better, I'll be your slave for life, just please spare my life. I'll do anything." Eric screamed as a waterfall of tears gushed out his eyes. Moby then crouched down to meet Eric at eye level and smiled very sadistically. "I will torture you so hard that you wish you turned to dust. Until you start bleeding tears. Until every bone in your body has been broken. Until your face is unrecognizable and you look like a monster. Only then will I allow you the freedom of death. I will pay you back 1,000 times harder for all the pain and suffering you caused me," Moby said with a creepy distorted smile. "However, if you manage to beg me for your life 1,000 times, then I might consider letting you live," Moby said while laughing. Of course, Moby had no intention of letting him live no matter what. Moby just thought of this idea in order to maximize his XP gain. "Please spare my life. Please spare my life. Please spare my life. Please spare my life. Eric started screaming like a lunatic. Ads by Pub Future. Moby ignored his screams and grabbed one of his fingers, breaking it. Eric let out a loud, disturbing scream. Moby had been tortured so many in the past that he couldn't wait to try on his enemies what he had experienced in his past. He had been tortured such an insane amount of times that doing it himself does not disturb him in the least. It's like watching your brother play video games as a spectator for many years and now it's finally your turn to give it a try. I'm going to start out nice and easy with you, don't worry about a thing, Moby said while laughing. Moby then broke every finger on his hands. Then he ripped out all the nails. Slowly, one by one. Before he knew it, he had already taken them all out. The whole time, Eric was still asking Moby to spare his life all while crying like a baby. Eric hung on to the false sense of hope that he might be able to survive if he continued begging. Moby grabbed Eric by his hair to the nearest rock. Then, he repeatedly smashed his face on it until his face was no longer recognizable. As he was doing it, he noticed teeth and blood flying everywhere as Eric continued to cry and beg for mercy. Almost all of Eric's teeth were gone, his nose was broken, his face was bleeding like crazy with many cuts and bruises. You can literally not tell that this person was Eric Quinn even if you were his closest relatives. Moby couldn't get to Eric's arms because they were tied up. So, Moby quickly cut off the rope that was tying Eric. Eric's barely recognizable eyes lit up, it was like a gift from the heavens. It was now his chance to get his revenge for all the torture. Episode 10. Evolution. Moby patted himself on the back for his amazing accomplishment. He jumped up and down celebrating like a child opening his presents on Christmas. He was too happy to hold back his excitement. Then, he noticed that one notification lingered and didn't disappear like the others. /U003C You have reached the stage of evolution. /U003E. /U003C Do you want to evolve? /U003E. /U003C Yes /U003E /U003C No /U003E. Moby stopped his celebration and wore his usual serious expression. He didn't know the exact meaning of the notification so he didn't want to rush into any decision. Avelia, what is this evolution thing? Moby inwardly asked. It's a surprise. If I tell you now, it will ruin it. Avelia said in a cute tone. Some help you are. Moby said while sighing. Don't be like that. Fine, I'll tell you this much. If you want to inherit my full power, you will have to go through the evolution process. To tell you the truth, I did not expect you to evolve already. You really farmed the shit out of that Eric guy, Avelia said while cheerfully laughing. After hearing that, Moby decided that he had no choice. If he intended on getting even stronger than he is right now, he will have to go through with this. Moby steeled his resolve and quickly chose the yes option. Suddenly he started feeling immense pain in his chest and head. Then, he felt like his skin was burning and his blood was boiling. After that, he started throwing up black blood in liters and he felt his bones start to crack. It felt like his body was completely destroying itself. Moby started screaming so loud that it sounded almost inhuman. This was by far the most excruciating pain that Moby has ever felt in his life. Nothing even came close. After 1 minute of Moby trying to endure the pain, it finally stopped. Although the pain only lasted for 1 minute on the outside, for Moby it felt like months or even years of torture. Moby was clutching his heart in pain as he was desperately breathing heavily in order to catch his breath. /U003C Congratulations. Your evolution was successful. /U003E. As soon as Moby caught his breath, he demanded an explanation from Avelia. What the fuck, Avelia? Are you trying to kill me? Explain yourself now. Avelia started to giggle and then said. Open your stats and skills and you'll find out. Moby then instantly opened his stats and skills immediately after hearing what Avelia said. Stats. Name, Moby Kane. Level, 10. XP to next level 0/1000. Ads by PubFuture. Power level, 940. HP, 120/120. Demon Energy, 25/25. Demon Energy Regeneration, 12 Demon Energy/hour. Strength, 23. Agility, 23. Endurance, 23. Intelligence, 25. Mind, 15. Available points to distribute, 105. Skills. Basic Demon Energy Control, Level 2, Passive. Allows the user to sense and use demon energy. Sense, Level 2, Passive. Enhances a user's 5 senses. Inspect, Level 2. Allows the user to inspect any person or object and general information will be available. Demon Slash, Level 1. Focuses demon energy into the user's sword and performs a strong downward slash with immense power. Power, 1.5 a normal slash. Cost, 12 demon energy. Demon Flash, Level 1. Focuses demon energy into the user's leg and does a short dash at immense speed. Effect, increases speed by 1.5x. Duration, 0.1 seconds. Ads by PubFuture. Cost, 8 demon energy. Eyes of Sin, Level 1. Special eyes only possessed by those of the demon race. Greatly improves vision and perception. Allows the user to see 0.1 seconds in the future. Increases all stats by 10%. Cost, 2 demon energy/second. Nightmare, Level 1. Inflicts your opponent with fear by making direct eye contact, paralyzing them. Effect duration, 0.5 seconds, duration increases as mind stat goes up. Max range, 0.5 meters. Cost, 10 demon energy. Moby stood there speechless as he carefully read everything in front of him. I'm a demon. Moby screamed in confusion. Welcome to the Demon Club, my friend, Avelia said with a cheerful tone. Moby's initial shock about becoming a demon slowly faded away as he started to accept his change. If it would make Moby stronger, he was all for it, and from the changes he sees in his stats and skills, he is already liking what he is seeing. The first thing he noticed is that his HP cap is now 120 instead of 100 and his demon energy cap is now at 25 instead of 20. And his power level increased from 890 to 940. The second thing he noticed was that his demon energy regeneration has gone from 10 demon energy/hour to 12 demon energy/hour. The third was he suddenly got 5 more points in mind and intelligence without assigning any stat points to the skill. Demons have a lot of mind-related powers and abilities and have a larger energy reserve than humans. So, by becoming a demon, it is obvious that you would gain at least some points in mind and intelligence, Avelia quickly interjected, answering Moby's question. The fourth was that he now has a mouth-watering 105 stat points to assign. Going by his previous knowledge that one stat point is equal to 10 power levels, he should be able to raise his power level by 1050 points. This got Moby really excited. The fifth was that his Inspect, Basic Demon Energy Control, and Sense skills have now reached level 2. Moby really noticed the difference with his Sense passive skill. All his 5 senses now feel ultra-heightened. Moby can clearly see through the darkness of the night like he had night vision. He can hear the slightest sounds that happen with considerable clarity. And his nose became far more sensitive as he was able to clearly smell and distinguish the different herbs in the forest. He was also able to more clearly smell Eric's putrid corpse, which made him chuckle a bit as he was reliving the good times they both just had. Finally, the last thing he noticed was 2 new skills at the bottom of his skills tab. The first one he noticed was the skill, Nightmare. The skill paralyzes the opponent for 0.5 seconds. This might not sound like a lot, but with 0.5 seconds, it would be just enough distraction to deliver a fatal blow. The duration can also be increased by putting points into the mind stat. At least Moby now has an incentive to focus more on the mind. The skill cost 10 demon energy, so it was really expensive. This means the Moby needs to think carefully before using it and depleting his energy reserves. The second skill is the one that caught Moby's attention the most, the Eyes of Sin. The effects it provided was astronomical. It allowed the user to have much greater vision and perception. Allowed the user to see 0.1 seconds into the future. And raised all stats by 10%. However, this skill has one huge drawback. The immense energy consumption at 2 demon energy/second. Even with full energy reserves, the skill would last 12.5 seconds at most, and there would be no spare energy to use any other skills. This was a huge problem. Moby decided to keep this skill as a last resort, or when it is absolutely necessary. He needed more energy reserves and regeneration to properly use this skill in actual combat. Suddenly Moby's thoughts were interrupted as he heard 5 footsteps 2 kilometers away headed straight for his direction. Suddenly it hit him, how could Moby be so stupid and careless? Whenever a student dies, the watch pings their location. Then a retrieval group will come to investigate what happened. Moby should have immediately run away from the scene as soon as he killed Eric. But instead, he was careless and stayed as he was too distracted from the system notification. The time was already 11:35, Moby had exactly 25 minutes to return to his dorms without being spotted by the retrieval team. If he was caught by the retrieval team, he would be considered the prime suspect in the murder. And, if he was caught outside his dorm past curfew, he would also be considered as the biggest suspect, as there were many people that saw both him and Eric enter the woods together. They are closing in fast. They are only 1.5 kilometers away. Stop standing there like an idiot and move. Avelia shouted, snapping Moby out of his panic.